There is a ton to talk about when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I want to try and explain it in the best way that I can. Do you need to have played the other games in the series to play this one? The answer to that question is no. Is it complicated? I know a lot of the screenshots that people have seen and even the gameplay demonstrations, it looks like some sort of pseudo online MMO type combat, but it isn't as cumbersome or as difficult as you might think. Essentially, you've got automatic combat. You walk up to an enemy once you target it, you press a button to pull out your sword, and your character will continue to attack with standard attacks. Now, here's where the interesting thing comes in. You'll have to pay attention to range, and you'll have to pay attention to these gauges that fill up that allow you to trigger your arts. There are different types of arts. Now, to really make it less difficult to understand, there are some attacks that are great from the front. There are some attacks that are more powerful from behind, and then there are some that are more powerful from the side of enemies. So what you're going to do as an attacker is you're going to get within range, start the combat. As the combat progresses, you'll pay attention to your arts. The gauge will slowly fill up, and once they're ready to be triggered, then you can move your character. It's all in real time. If you want to strike from the side, you can trigger a break on the character, which weakens them. If you want to strike from behind or the front, you simply move your character in the battlefield to those positions. That's the easiest way to explain the combat from a rudimentary standpoint. Now, there are so many more intricacies to that, and it isn't very cumbersome. It looks cumbersome. It looks like it's something that you're not going to be able to handle. But if you just take your time, you work your way into it, it's really, really interesting, and there's a lot of depth to the combat. Now, you can also play as many different types of characters who have many different types of abilities. So, for instance, if you're not playing as an attacker, but you're playing as a defender, what you're going to want to pay attention to is your placement on the battlefield. You can create buffs in a certain area so that the two other characters who are attackers can have stronger attacks. And you're going to want to draw the character's aggro towards yourself to give the attackers more time to build up their arts. There's a lot of strategy to this, even though, when you hear the word automatic attack, it's not just standing there walking up to a character and watching essentially the combat. There is a lot to it. Then eventually, as time progresses, you become this sort of combination of two characters that make this really stronger character. I don't want to give anything away, but there is a lot to the combat. What's really interesting is you can choose an easy mode from the beginning, and no, it doesn't detract from the original experience that the developer intended, because there is the normal mode and you can choose that as well. But if you are trying to learn the combat, I would suggest starting it on easy, learning the ins and outs, and then you can just bump up that difficulty as things go on. The next thing I want to talk about is graphics. Graphically, this is one of the most amazing looking games I've seen on the Switch. It's almost unbelievable that they're able to render this big a world for you to explore on the Switch. I love all the different environments. I've only been playing this game for, I'd say, around 10 hours, and I'm really not interested ever in giving a review score. I'm going to finish games, but I'm not interested in playing games to completion and then making a video and telling you whether or not it's a 9, a 7, a 10, because I think that holds no weight. I think what's more important is playing a game for a length of time and then talking about the experience, how it makes you feel, the combat, and the presentation, I think, are all top-notch in this game. Sometimes I'm just amazed that, again, this is running on a Switch. Now, there are some drawbacks, and I'm noticing things like texture quality sometimes is extremely blurry, resolution, frame rate. Even though those aren't what make a game really good, they are not great in this game, and I do wish that there was a little bit more horsepower under the hood for the Switch to get these to get the resolution a bit higher, the frame rate a bit more stable, so that the game can really shine. But the idea that something like this is created and looks the way it does, plays the way it does, it's not a game that doesn't play well, it's not hindered by the Switch, but you really want it to be the best that it can be. And I hope that when we get new Switch hardware, this is one of those games that just takes advantage of it. All in all, this is one of the most amazing RPGs this entire generation. This is definitely up there for Game of the Year. You're going to want to check this game out if you love RPGs, if you're a Switch owner, if you're just a gamer in general. Let me know what you think about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.